8 simple rules for a better overall rank. That is the goal here. I've decided to write down some rules to make myself just that little bit better at FPL, and hopefully for listeners as well. Today we have got FPL Salah in the house. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm good, Dave. Thanks very much, mate. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. It's a little bit late when we're recording, but it's all good because like I am a night person.
I'm the same, mate. So we're on the same wavelength there.
So just in case anyone who's listening doesn't know who FPL Salah, I can't believe I would even have to say that. That'd be mental. But yeah, FPL Salah has been playing FPL for ages. Top 1K 4 times, top 10K 4 times. Writes for the Fantasy Football Hub. And the best thing, or the biggest thing, for whatever reason, is those posts for the anytime score and clean sheets, man.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing them for I think about 2 seasons now. I mean, I had like what I done 2 seasons ago. I had like a personal Twitter account which I wasn't really using, so I just like turned that into an FPL account.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started like doing FPL content, and then mostly just like the clean sheet and anytime score odds, and it's just kind of grown like far beyond what I expected. So yeah,
it's such a simple thing that you've kind of tapped into that no one else was doing.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of. I just kind of got lucky. I mean, as I was telling you earlier, it's not something that I kind of planned or went out to do, but it just kind of happened. So just kind of rolled
That's kind
with
of the best thing. You're like penicillin or whatever, And you also play Sky, and you got 70th in 2017-18. That is such a feat, man. Well done.
Yeah. So I had a one good year in Sky, but I mean, to be honest, like the Sky guys that I know, like their records are unbelievable. So like the 70th is nothing really. Honestly, like these guys are getting like top 50s, like top 30s year in year out. Like you probably heard of like Dan Cox and Lewis and Luke and all these guys. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sky's it's a lot different than FPL. A lot less players. And it's just like the whole structure of it is a lot different.
Yeah, fair play. I've never actually dipped my toes into the Sky thing. I was thinking about it, but then every time we come to a new year of FPL, I'm always like, I'll do it next year. Like, there's too much to do now.
Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I mean, it's totally different to FPL. A lot more planning required, and I think in Sky there's a lot. For me, it's a lot less luck involved because you've got more control because you're able to do like in-game transfers and like multiple captains on different days and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more control over your team, which is what I like about it.
Yeah, I think that sounds like something I would actually like. I might have to check that out. But we're here for the 8 simple rules. And hopefully they can translate if there are any people listening for Sky. Basically what we're doing is we're going to go through them, and then you're going to tell me whether my rules are shit or you agree with them. Happy with that?
Happy, man. Let's go.
Perfect. All right. Rule number 1, easy peasy, no hits. So that would mean as few as possible, obvious caveats being injuries or suspensions, and no hits to make up for bad planning. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, out of the 8 simple rules, probably this is the one I agree with the most. I mean, me personally, I hate taking hits. I mean, even when it's justified, like even when I've got an injured player and it totally makes sense to take hits. It's just I hate taking hits. It's a psychological thing as well as the fact that most of the time it doesn't work out. But yeah, I think for me, I only take hits when like I really have to take it.
How many did you take last season?
I think only took an 8-point hit last season.
Really? You only had 2?
Yeah, so two 4 points. Yeah.
Wow, you really don't like them. I thought you were gonna be like, maybe 10 max or whatever. But Jesus,
no,
2.
I think I took it. I think I kind of. I mean, usually I do take more. I mean, obviously things happen. You get injuries and take hits at the start of the season. But no, this season. I think I only actually took 8, or maybe 12, but it was between 8 and 12. It wasn't much at all.
Wow, that's what I aspire to be. We're complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I love a hit, I'll take a hit, and I'll just blame it on the alcohol. But really, like, I know I'd wanted to do that ages ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it has kind of worked to my detriment at times, but I don't know. It's just the way I play, really. Yeah, it's I'm quite hit deterrent.
It's funny because when you talk to a lot of people, they've got different opinions. But when you talk to people who have like consistently been in that top 1,000, top 10,000, they all say the same thing. Like, try not to take hits. I don't take as many as possible. And then when you ask them how many, it's always like 3, 2, sometimes even 0. That's mental. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be trying to do next season. Right, number 2. Have a core team with price points. So this is based on Joe from Fantasy Football Scout. He's a very big advocate for having price points in each position, where you'd have maybe an 11 million midfielder and an 8 million midfielder, 6.5 million midfielder, and like a cheapie. So it means that you can move and navigate your team to any player that you would want within max 2 moves, and it's basically like super flexibility. So that's what I'm going to try and aspire to as well. For obviously this would be the start of the season, it wouldn't be something you could do throughout, but what do you make of that? What's your go-to with price planning?
Yeah, again, it's another one I totally agree with. I mean, just a few days ago I actually posted a kind of thread from a guy called Dodd who like has got a blog on FISO, and that's exactly what he was talking about. It was titled "How to Avoid a Terrible Start in FPL." And I was just talking about price points and, having like certain price points in certain areas, so you can kind of, because when you start the season, I mean, that's when we've got the kind of least information. So having those price points there and being able to move kind of seamlessly from one player to another is really important. And the first time I actually kind of realised, I mean, when I first started playing FPL, I had no concept of price points. I was kind of doing it subliminally anyway. Again, at the start of the season, I mean, it's kind of tempting to kind of go all out and, just go with the new players that have came in from other leagues and, like kind of go for something a bit radical. But, I mean, I believe the safest and most optimal way is to play with the price points, kind of having premium defender, 2 premiums in there, for your captains. For example, if you get like Aubameyang, and just as an example, he's a flop, and you can just change to Sterling, or you can change to KDB, without taking hits and without dismantling your team. So yeah, that's one thing I've been doing for the past few years. Is just kind of starting off with some core price points, and then it makes it so much easier. Yeah,
it's basically assuming that you're wrong in a lot of your picks, so it means that you can reach those differentials that everyone's going to want within 1 move or 2 moves. I really liked it. I haven't really came across it until recently, so it was like straight into the rules, but I'm glad that you agree. Funnily enough, not every manager agrees I've talked to, but it's good when we've got 2 in a row. It's good. I feel good about that. Talk to you more often, Salah. Just to be clear, you're not actually Salah, right?
No, my name's Abdul.
Okay, cool, no worries. Right. Awesome. Just double checking. Right, number 3. Simple captain choices. No outside the box captains. Stick to your premiums and go with the majority polls and such, unless multiple options are presented. What's your take on captaincies? How did they treat you last year?
I think I got something like 400 odd points. It wasn't good at all. I mean, I had quite. If I actually finished 19k overall, which isn't too bad. I mean, it's not terrible. But if some of the captains were better, I would have easily made top 10k. I mean, I had a really bad year with captains.
What were you doing? How were you picking them?
With my captain choices, I always go simple. Like most of the time, I'll go, especially at the start. I mean, at the start, I'll play really safe. Kind of go with the pack. Try and keep up. Not get left behind. Basically, go with the captains at the top of the poll. Until the final quarter of the season, I'll start taking risks, and depending where I'm ranked and where I want to be. Maybe diverging a bit, going a bit aggressive. Depends. Like if I'm in the top 10k and I'm protecting a lead, I might just play it more simple. But usually I'll try and get into the top 10k or top 1k if I'm there and thereabouts. I mean, as a general rule, I think picking a simple captain is optimal. I think. I mean, when you go for the guy who's the top of the poll, I mean, if he blanks, then the majority of people are blanking with you, so you're not really falling too far behind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those, and I mean, if you constantly go, I mean, these guys, I mean, like Salah, top of the captain's poll, or if Aubameyang's 1 week top of the captain poll, they're there for a reason. It's because they most likely are the best choice, or one of the best choices. So if you're going against the grain, week in, week out, you're not gonna come out on top.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Obviously, you brought up a good caveat, a common caveat, which is if you're unhappy with your rank towards the end of the season, the only way that you're going to boost up the ranks is to kind of pick differential captains. But up until then, like you said just there, just follow the pack at the very start. And that's something that I'm pretty good at. I don't like the captaincy part of the game, to be honest. Like it's too like lucky, I would say.
Yeah.
So very lucky.
I totally agree with you that it does, like, it does add a lot more luck into the equation, but I mean, personally, I'd find it a lot more boring without the captaincy choices, even though, I mean, I would make it more skill-based rather than luck-based, but I think it would kind of detract a lot of people from it.
Exactly. Like it would definitely be more boring. But for me, I always try and put my captaincy on whatever everyone else is doing, because I don't want to bet on the fact that not only am my differential captain will bang, but the one that they're doing won't. So that's what I've been trying to do. And it seems like you do the same thing until you're reassessing later on, maybe game week 32, 33.
It's funny because I hear people saying like things like, it's boring going for the top of the guy at the top of the captain pool, etc., and have some fun. But I mean, for me, fun is seeing green arrows and improving my rank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't find it fun if I captain like a gut call and get it wrong. I mean, for me, fun is finishing as high as possible and beating all my mates.
Yeah, you're not one of those players that just want to take part. It's more of the winning, and I think that's where you gotta be. You gotta have that mindset to win, I think, and you've been close quite a few times. So that's 3 in a row, I say, right? 3 in a row. No hits.
Yeah.
Have a core team with price points, simple captain choices, fairly simple ones. Number 4, wildcard with a plan. What I mean by this is that wildcarding just because you hate your team, you hate the look of your team. I think I've done that so many times and it's blown up in my face. I'm a big fixtures manager. I don't really go on form. It's mostly fixtures, what I can do and how I can plan around them. But what I've been noticing when I'm using my wildcard is I'll end up in a place where I just don't want my team anymore, and I'll get rid of them on a whim, and I'll use my wildcard, I don't know, game week 7 or something random, and then I'll bring in players that are suboptimal to what my fixtures plan was, and then it all kind of falls apart. So it's not really a case of don't use your wildcard ever, or don't use it in a weird game week. This rule is more like just have a plan, a pre-written plan in your head. Like if this happens, then I'll use that, and if it doesn't, then I'll move it to there. That kind of thing. What's your take on that?
With me, and you get a lot of managers who plan to use their wild card like in the first, the first international break, or the first few weeks, build team value. And for the last few seasons, I've done that, and it's worked out okay for me. But I have a kind of I'll have that plan in mind where I'm preparing to wild card early, but only if I need it. I mean, I wouldn't just do it for the sake of it, or just for the sake of it in a national break and get the price rises. If I get off to a good start, I'll keep it for as long as possible. But I don't think it's good to plan a wild card like if you're starting the season, you think game week 4, this team's fixtures pick up, so I'll wild card then. I mean, it's good to have that thought there that that you could use it, but I wouldn't kind of pin my hopes on it. So I mean, with me, I'll use it when I need it. Like if it's needed, like after game week 3, like if I feel my team's a mess, I've got like 4 players who aren't starting, or 4 players who are duds, I'll use it. Whether it's in the national break or not, or whether the team's got good fixtures coming up or not. For me, it's just pretty much use it when I need it.
Right, okay, fair enough. So it's a hard disagree then. So not necessarily not have a plan, but be able to be flexible with your wild card.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a disagree. I think it's good to have the kind of idea that, you've got certain teams that their fixtures are picking up in a certain game week, and then, you could wild card then. But I mean, if you get to that point and your team is doing well, then, you always say you're gonna reassess. And probably, hold your wild card. I mean, I think it'd be suboptimal if, your team is doing well, you've got all the players you want, and then you just wild card for the sake of it, bring in new players, just because you've got good fixtures coming up, but you've got, players that have got form. I think I'd probably disagree in that sense, because I think you said that you're like more of a fixtures man, where
yeah, definitely.
I'm probably a bit of both. But if I've got players who are on form, I think I wouldn't just move them along for somebody who's got good fixtures. You know what I mean?
Right, I get you. So what you're saying is when you get to a point where you need to wildcard, you would do it. But also, if you had planned to, or you know what, I'll hold it and I'll reassess it the international break, you wouldn't just do it anyway because it's the international break or because that was your plan in the meantime. You would first reassess your team to double check, well, actually, do I need to use it? And you would try and hold it for as long as possible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just to be flexible as possible. I mean, in my opinion, the longer you have your wildcard, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a competent manager, the longer you have it, it means the better you're doing.
Okay, I like that. That's a good approach. So that, I guess, is a plan in itself, right? Plan to use it as late as possible, but also plan to reassess at these key points.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in FPL, you've got to be as flexible as possible. It's like adapt to the situation, basically. I think every season is different. I mean, this season's going to be totally different because we've got 2 blank in the first game week, and then we've got that weird half and half game week, and I think it's 18. So this year's going to be totally different.
And that's more of a reason to hold your wild card right up until game week 16 or whatever it is.
I mean, as long as I can remember, it's been, quite successful strategy using your wild card early, getting your team value up and, kind of jumping on the bandwagons. But I think this season, you're probably going to be best off holding it as long as possible, for that weird game week coming up, yeah.
All right. Well, we're halfway through. I think we're doing pretty well. That's three agrees and one we'll work on it. So I'm just going to take a second. We'll have a listen to our message from our sponsor and we'll be right back.
Would you consider yourself an elite manager, Dave?
Well, I finished 190k last year.
No,
so
the answer's no. 190k would make you a average manager. An elite manager would be anyone who finished in the top 100k.
Wait, where did you finish last season?
I'm an elite manager, that's all you need to know. It's a shame that you're not an elite manager, Dave, because if you were an elite manager, you could head over to FPL merch, go to his Kickstarter, and there you would find a selection of mugs aimed at exclusively elite managers. We're talking top 100, we're talking top 100k, top 50k, top 1k. It's got them all. But don't worry, Dave. When I popped outside earlier, I found the perfect commemorative item for your season.
Yeah, what was it?
It was a dog shite that I stood on. Listener, if you finish in the top 100k, i.e. if you're an elite manager, head to FPL Merch's Kickstarter. You'll find it through his Twitter at FPL Merch, and go and get yourself a mug to bloody remember it by.
Rule number 5, template team to start. And by this I mean, before game week 1, have a core team of players that you're going to want to hold for the long term, plus some differentials, but only those who have proven themselves in the Premier League. So template team to start, and then waiting a few weeks to see who is actually nailed and who is, the new Lundstroms before jumping on them. How do you tend to set up your team in terms of swords versus shields, that kind of thing?
Again, I think this is quite similar to like number 2, like the core team price points. Whereas with the template, I would probably go. I mean, I'd probably go as template as possible, to be honest, at the start. As I said earlier, just to kind of stay with the pack and not get left behind. I don't think early season is the time to be taking risks and kind of going rogue.
So even before the season starts, you'll have a look at the team percentage owned, and you'll go with the highest one, regardless of your feelings of the players. That's interesting. So it's like super safe.
No, I wouldn't say regardless. I mean, the example I used was if I was picking between them players and I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay. So you would use that as like as a last kind of flip of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't go through like all the like the kind of highest one players and just pick all the highest one players.
Gotcha.
I mean, like I'd obviously like because you're going to have players like Ferguson, who's 4 million for Crystal Palace. He'll be owned by like I don't know what his percentage is at the moment, but
a shit ton. We'll say a shit ton.
Yeah. So like there'll be players who are lowly owned, and when you look at FPL Twitter, I mean, obviously you'll see like these 4 million players and like Ailing and all these kind of players. Like you'll think they've got a 50% ownership, but really if you actually look at the FPL website, it's a lot less than that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I get you.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I wouldn't just kind of go with all the highest ones. I mean, I'd go, as I said, pick the price points. You know, and for the premiums, yeah, like, you know, go for Salah instead of Mane. I mean, I'd always go for Salah instead of Mane anyway, but you know, just especially with the premium options, just kind of, you know, if I'm stuck between, you know, one or two options, then go with the highest owned. And have a template team in terms of the price points. Like, you know, have the two premiums, have your main players there who are highly owned, who are good players as well. Like, you know, don't just pick highly owned players just because they're highly owned. You know, they've got to be obviously, you know, quality players as well. But yeah, I think the main thing for me with the template team is, which relates to point two, is to have that flexibility of just kind of moving along to the next option. If you've got it wrong, you know, it's easy to kind of move along and bite your tongue and just transfer them out.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it'd be really weird if you didn't have Salah on your team.
Yeah,
I think it would be super strange, mate.
Yeah.
If Mane had a higher percentage owned just now than Salah, would you still pick Salah?
Oh, you know what? I think I'd make the exception there.
Yeah, you would still have Salah?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stick to your brand.
Yeah, I just love Mohamed Salah as a player. You know, I mean, I don't support Liverpool or anything. I'm actually a Man United fan, but
what? That's mental. Hold on. Really?
Yeah, I'm actually a Man United fan. The thing is, right, I've got Salah there in the picture, right, but he's got the Egypt kit on, right? He's got his Egypt kit on.
Yes, he does.
In both like the banner and so I like Salah the Egyptian king, not like Liverpudlian. So
I love that you've I did double thinked your way through where like he's not a Liverpool player.
I mean, my like and kind of love for the player goes beyond football a bit. So it's why I like so much. I just think he's a great role model. You know, and yeah, I've just got kind of likened to Salah, so that's the thing there. But yeah, a lot of people just rightly assume as well that I'm a Liverpool fan because I've got Salah in my picture. No, I'm not.
That's kind of blew my mind a little bit. This was all worth it just for that. I can't believe that's so crazy. And you're right. Like, why can't you support someone who just the player? Like I do all the time. Anyone who's really good to me in Football Manager, like I'm supporting them, not the team. Like there's some crazy people that you find that you love just because of weird coincidences or circumstances. So yeah, no. So template team to start, we're kind of on the same page. You are right. It's kind of similar to number two. I think the core difference would be like how many differentials versus shields those Salahs, those highly owned players. Like what's your split then?
You asked me the question about Salah and Mane, right? Where you said that if Mane was more highly owned than Salah, you know which one I'd go for, and I said Salah, but I actually do feel like Salah is like a better option than Mane. So on that basis, if I think a player is, you know, significantly a better option, then you know, I would ignore the, you know, the percentage. It's only like as I was saying, if you know there's not really much in it, or there's, you know, bits and bobs. But yeah, I mean, I'd definitely go for, you know, I'd definitely trust my instinct on that. Of, you know, I think this guy's a better player just because, you know, for some reason this player's got, you know, like 10% higher ownership, go for him. I don't mean it like that.
I get you.
I mean, it's quite similar, yeah.
So you don't really think about it in terms of like this guy's a sword and this guy's a shield, and I need 8 shields and 3 swords to get by. I need differentials here and here and here. You don't really think about that, and you just go with price points and whoever you can get the best that you believe would be able to, you know, fulfill that role at that price point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Start the season, I'd think more about like as you say, in the swords and shields later on in the season, where if I'm taking risks, or when I'm, you know, playing a bit more aggressively, then I'll start thinking about that. But no, not at the start of the season.
Not at the start.
No.
So it's just your gut based on research. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great answer. I'm going to have to start rethinking some of these rules here. Right, number 6, minimal goalkeeper transfers. This is quite an easy one just to throw in there. Goalkeepers are in it for the long haul, and any transfers that you're doing for your goalkeeper should be because, you know, they're injured, they get suspended, or, you know, any wild card that you want to kind of do. But apart from that, you know, leave your goalkeepers be.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I've been burnt so many times in the past. I mean, with this, you know, just kind of, I mean, sometimes even when I've had like I've had the perfect. You've got a really good team and you've got 2 or 3 transfers, and you just think, okay, I'll move my keeper on. I mean, even in them situations, I've been burnt. So yeah, I definitely think having like just, I mean, the goalkeeper position is, in my opinion, the biggest lottery. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, a lot of the goalkeepers as well, like the 4.5 keepers. I mean, a lot of their highest scoring games are in like games that you least expect.
Yeah, exactly. Penalty saves are really high. Random clean sheets with high
Yeah.
saves against City or something. I totally agree. It's the worst.
So, yeah, and I got actually a bit this season because I had Pope before the restart, and obviously when like I played my bench boost in game week 30, and wildcarded straight after, and then Man City beat Burnley 5-0, and then obviously I got rid of Pope. And who did I get? Dubravka. And I think Pope outscored him. But I mean, I didn't even want to count how many points he outscored him by. But
no, I wouldn't.
It was a lot.
Yeah, it's enough to not look.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not the first person to have that Pope burn from last season, and it's something that I think you've highlighted really well. Is that like even if you have a free transfer, like don't waste it on your goalkeeper. Like just let it die. If even if you've got 2 free transfers, like don't just take your goalkeeper out for the sake of it. And that's something that I think every manager has came across once in their little FPL career.
Yeah.
So it's really good to say. So yeah, I'm glad I threw this rule in because it's kind of just highlighting that even the best managers have been where you are. And have succumbed to it. So try and be better. Just leave your goalkeeper the fuck alone.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, no team bias. I'm excited for this one. Rule number 7: no team bias. So difficult in practice, obviously. How do we look at our supporting team, the team that we love? How do we look at them unbiasedly? So you support Man United. So what do you do? How do you try and get around that? I know you love Salah as well, so you're always going to have him in, which is fair enough because he's banging. But what about Manchester United players? What's your take on that?
I mean, when it comes to my own team, I honestly have no team bias whatsoever. I just look at them as any other fantasy football players. I mean, if they're performing, I get them in. If they're not, then I get rid of them. I mean, when I first started playing, I was really biased with. I mean, when I first started playing, obviously Ronaldo was in the league, and he was like, my captain every single week. As I said, in my second season, I think it was second or third season, when I started taking it seriously, I mean, the team bias went out the window. It was all about my team, as in my fantasy football team. That's where my bias lies.
So what would you say to someone who's not quite transitioned into, I'm going to take this more seriously? Like how would you kind of guide someone who's maybe put in 3 Fulham players because they can't believe that they're back in the Premier League and they've got Mitrovic and a defender or whatever. I don't even know anyone from Fulham, like Ayling or whatever. I'm pretty sure he's Leeds. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so what would you say to someone who had the kind of biased team?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think if somebody's biased like that, I mean, maybe I don't know if they'd be a serious fantasy football player, if you know what I mean. They probably don't take it as seriously as me or you.
Right.
I think, most of the players that I've come across, like on Twitter or the Facebook groups and that, don't have a team bias. They just go for the players who, even if they support like a certain team, like whether it be Brighton or Fulham, they're not going to go with like a triple defence or
unless it's a triple game week. Right?
Yeah, unless it's that.
And then we'll captain them, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do that, by the way?
I did, yeah. I did.
Did you triple captain?
Who, Duffy?
Yeah.
Yeah, triple captain.
You triple captain? Oh my goodness.
No, sorry.
The worst ever.
No, sorry. I take that back. Was that last season, Duffy, or the season?
No, it was the season before. For whatever reason, Brighton fell into a triple game week, and everyone went mental, captained them.
Yeah, I did captain them. Yeah, I did.
Oh, that was the worst. That was when I started mentally writing the simple captain choice rule in my head. That fucking game week.
That was it's just you need to be careful on social media and that you don't get kind of swayed out of doing things like that, because everybody was doing it, so it just kind of it's just one of those things where you just kind of, I don't actually think it was as bad a decision as it turned out to be. I mean, I don't think the outcome was as bad as the decision, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Like it was a pretty sound. Like when's the next time you're gonna get a triple game week?
Exactly. You know what I mean. So it is what it is. I just remembered as well, actually, the Ben Crabtree, the guy who won it a few years ago. He's an Everton fan, and he didn't go with one Liverpool player, the whole season, and he won the game.
Was that before or after Liverpool started absolutely destroying the FPL world?
That was that season.
Was that the Salah season?
Yeah, and but that's the thing. Like the amount of luck that was involved. I mean, fair play to him. He obviously played it blind to win it, but
you can win it one time and then the rest of the time you're dead.
Yeah.
I like that. Good sentiment. All right, so last rule then we're coming up to number 8, no mini league focus. So this is one that I kind of threw in on the end there. And it's basically to anyone who's kind of focusing on countering someone in their mini league. Maybe you're just behind someone or just in front, and you're making your decisions off that. If you're looking to get a better overall rank, if your goal is to win your mini league, then awesome, fair enough. But if your goal is to get the best rank you can get, then you should probably just ignore your mini league. What do you think about that? What's your experience with that kind of thing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, like when I first started playing, it was all about the mini leagues. But I think focus on mini leagues and blocking players and stuff like that, it probably does more harm than. I think definitely does more harm than good, because instead of playing, your best game, making the best decisions, you're playing defensive, like trying to block people off, even though it might not be the best decision for your team. Things like that. I totally don't get the mini league focus unless you're just playing for mini leagues and you don't care about overall rank. But if you're playing for overall rank, then it really doesn't make sense to shift the focus on the mini leagues. Yeah, totally agree with you on that one.
Perfect, awesome. I mean, yeah, you've summed it up perfectly there. I have came across some managers that have said, look, I've looked at my mini league and only my mini league, and some of those ranks, before I took it seriously, were actually pretty good. So it can work both ways, where you're looking at your mini league and only your mini league, and because you're trying to do so well, and to be honest, you'd have to have a competitive mini league to have it to get to a degree where you're having a decent overall rank. But still, like, it is something to mention. If you are really focused on your mini league, then just don't look at your overall rank, and vice versa. If you're really into your overall rank, don't look at your mini league. Don't try and like shift your vision, keep on track. So yeah, that's awesome. So that's 8. So I don't know how did we get there? It was like 6 agree, 5 agrees, 1 disagree-ish, and then 2 like some caveats. I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
that's a pass. That's like a C+.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think I pretty much agree with all of them, but I think with some of them, there's, as you said, just a few caveats. Yeah. I think these rules are pretty much spot on, to be honest.
Perfect. I love that. That's great. That's going on the title. That's in the that's in the reviews. These are pretty spot on. FPL Salah. Nice one. Is there any rules that you kind of hold dear or that you use every season without even thinking that I've missed? Is there anything you can think of?
I don't think so. I mean, if you asked me before, like, if you didn't ask me these simple rules, if you didn't give me them and you asked me what my rules were, probably say something similar along the lines of, being flexible with the price points, having the price points there, going with the simple captains at the start, just to kind of stay with the pack. So pretty much, so pretty much those two I would have said to you.
So those are the ones that you want to emphasize? Yeah,
I probably would do, yeah. I mean, I'd say, like, when I'm starting the season, definitely, I would have said that those are probably my rules that I'd kind of dear by at the start of the season.
Awesome! I'm so glad I had you on, man. Like, this is great. This is my bias. This is what I wanted. I write some rules down. I bring fucking amazing managers in, and they're like, "Yeah, you know what? You should be a top manager now." Like, awesome, thumbs up. So thank you very much, and I really do appreciate you coming along, man. Thank you so much for hanging out for a bit with me.
No, thank you, man. I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time.
I'm so glad. All right, thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. And is there anything you want to plug before we go?
You've put me on the spot there. I would plug Fantasy Football Hub. I'd encourage people to sign up to it. It's a great website. They've got a new app this season, and
you actually have a affiliate link that you've got on your Twitter, right?
Yeah.
If you don't mind me plugging it for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, well, that's us. You can find Salah at FPL_Salah, and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.